Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my shop. So I'm working on a table for my scroll saw, and I had some boards that I wanted to mill up using my Rikon jointer and then eventually my DeWalt planer. Now in the past I've been using these push sticks or just my hands, or at times also I would use this particular kind of gripper type block. Now this one, it didn't come with a little drop down that goes in the back to move the workpiece through. And typically when I would use the jointer, I would take a board, put it on here, and then I would run one in front of the other. You would switch your positioning basically, right? So you start off pushing here, putting your weight on this side, and then come back and push right above here. And you're always wanting to put your weight on the outfeed side of the board. Well, I kind of felt like it was cumbersome, kind of stepping one hand over the other. So I was tinkering around in the shop and I came up with this here. So basically, now this is a little bit short for what I want to use it for. I should have made it just a little bit longer. All it is a piece of 2x4 that I cut to make like a handle. And if you look on the bottom, I've got some recess. I use a Forstner bit to drill down so that the screw that's holding the handle on doesn't come in contact with the cutter blades. Now I'm using this with 2x4 stock, so I don't have much of an issue as far as that. If you see here, there's a little bit of a lip there, and that's so it doesn't go too close to the blade as well. Now what this is giving me the ability to do is when I put it on the machine, obviously I'm starting on the right hand side of the jointer, and when I push forward, now the reason why I want to make this a little bit longer is because I want to be able to put my hand here. So I'm thinking about making like a making a longer one of these and maybe having like a grip that I can hold here in this configuration and then push forward like this so I can put my weight here. If I don't do that, I may try that design, but I'll also try a design just like this one that's extended all the way down. Now, what I'm doing right now when I joint, I'm putting my weight on the front half of this, leveraging down, but the hook on the back end is giving me the ability to push the board forward. And so I'm putting my weight on this hand here, and then as I go through, I'm able to move along the handle without worrying about like moving these things around. And as I push all the way through, as you can see, I can push the board all the way through the cut because of the lip back here. I think this might be, it's obviously really cheap and easy to make. I just made this out of scrap wood. This is the length for one of the parts for the Ryobi scroll saw stand. And so I think to make this a more uniform action for me, I'm gonna make one of these just a little bit longer that will cover the whole piece of the stock so that I can keep my pressure on the front end and then just kind of run my hand over the handle as I get to the outfeed table. Not sure if this is, that great of a design, but basically I think it's going to help me to be more consistent and safe while using the jointer. As I pulled this 2x4 out before I actually did any jointing on it, it had quite a bit of wobble in it. And right now it's obviously pretty thinned up from me going over it. And this piece of wood has a line in it simply because one of these cutter heads is actually chipped and I need to spin it. I just haven't done it as of yet simply because I guess being a bit lazy. This one here is chipped, so I need to turn that and find my key and do that eventually. But I got home late today, so because I had to run some errands before I got home from work, which leads to me not really getting much shop time. I did want to come in and just really talk a little bit about this little jig that I'm trying to make to get some more consistent results with the joiner. When I'm watching other people build on YouTube, people aren't really given a lot of information when you start talking about what is square enough, what is straight enough, what is flat enough. And even when I look at tools like Woodpecker or benchdogs.co.uk and these different precision devices, I see that there's a percentage. It may go to like 1/1000th of accuracy, which means that it's not 100% perfect. And so for myself, being a novice in the shop, I need to get familiar and comfortable with what I actually need, how flat does stock need to be for me to make, or for me to get acceptable results that I would be happy with. As I'm using a lot of 2x lumber, construction lumber, I'm going to have to deal with a lot of twisting, a lot of bowing, but I do think it would be an excellent exercise for me to get to know tools like the jointer, and then also, getting to know that in conjunction with my planer, and then using the table saw to finish squaring up pieces. Now, I originally, when I first started building things, I would just use 2x4s just straight out of the store. I didn't really take into consideration the warping of boards and all of those different elements, because I didn't know much about wood movement. I just wanted to build things, and I didn't have the knowledge. So now that I have a better understanding that wood does move, I want to develop the process of how to get a board that's warped, a board that's cupped, to a more usable type of dimension. And I think that getting a feel for wood in that way is going to help me in my building experience. It is a long road to get to the end product, simply because, if you buy square stock from the store, or if you utilize just plywood, you're not going to have these concerns. You could just go ahead and build your project. As being a new coming into this genre of work, I was unsure about what direction I wanted to go down, and so I would watch some people that had jointers and planers and milled boards up, and then I would see other people that would utilize primarily plywood, where you don't have to use a jointer or a planer in your work. And for me personally, as prices have gone up, especially back before when there was kind of like a shortage, that kind of drove me more towards wanting to go down the construction lumber path, simply because, there's a chance that this may never take off for me as far as being an extreme passion or hobby. And being that, for at least in the near future, I only see myself making little projects that I'm going to have in my own home, and I don't require cherry, oak, or any of those exotic woods for simple furniture around the house. For me, this is more of a process of just trying to learn how to manipulate wood to get it to do what I want it to do, and this is just one step in the process. And as I decided to kind of tinker around with this little jig, it's basically a step in the direction of me saying, okay, let me just go ahead and try to master this one tool. Let me just use it over and over and over and over again, even if I don't get to the end of my project, simply to make sure I understand this tool in depth, so that I can get the most out of the tool. And then obviously I want to move on and use my router table like that, even the sander, the jigsaw, the drill press. That's the mindset that I want to take. Now, even though I'm going to do that, I don't want to totally do away with completing any projects or doing projects. I still want to do that, because I feel like there's something to be learned in that, and actually starting a project and finishing it. However, most of the shop furniture in my shop right now, aside from my MFT, which is made primarily of plywood, I did not mill up the boards to make the frame like of my table saw stand, my drill press stand, the bandsaw stand. It's just 2x4s that I cut to length and use pocket screws to put them together. So I made the top for the Ryobi scroll saw, and now I'm trying to construct a frame. Now, as you can see in the previous video, the wood was quite wobbly and warped. So that's what brought me around to doing, basically getting around to doing a jig like this to see if it actually improves results and is actually safer. Anyways, not sure if it will be. I'll let you know. Especially, and I'll actually make one of these. I know it's just simple wood and simple design, but I'll make one so you can kind of see what I'm trying to do, because with it just being 2x4 lumber, I'm thinking that I could actually just make it and then, like, you know, destroy it, discard it afterwards when I no longer need it. So like, say if I need a 32-inch piece of wood, maybe for a leg on a stand or something like that, I can make one of these just over 32 inches long, so that I could, with a handle that long, to cover the whole process. And I'm just thinking, I may be wrong, I'm just thinking that might make this a safer process when you're using such a small jointer, where you don't have long beds to support the work. Even though this jointer does have the extensions, they're hollow extensions, they don't have any kind of support aside from on the end. So that's something I'm taking in consideration, and this gives me the ability to kind of really focus and keep my mind on the actual board as I'm passing it through the work. So we'll see. It may not work out, but if it does, great. If it doesn't, then I'll just go back to the drawing board. I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to check out this short little video. I will get back to you and let you know how this jointer, how this joiner jig works out for me. And yeah, I'm thinking, and logically it seems like it'll work, but you know, you never know. It may not. Since it's late already, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.